All right, my friend, here we are, just days away from the NFL draft, and once again the Dallas Cowboys are standing at a crossroads. But this year feels different. Or at least, it should feel different. Because there's a ghost we haven't exorcised yet. A haunting pattern that's followed this franchise for an entire decade. Now I know you've probably felt it too. That sense of déjà vu every time the Cowboys are on the clock in the first round. The clock starts ticking, the names are on the board, and bam, another big guy from the trenches, again and again and again. But today, we're not just going to complain about it. We're going Ghostbusters on this thing. Because if this team is serious about making a real run, if they actually want to evolve and take that next step, then this deeply rooted trend in the draft has to be exposed. It has to be broken. Credit where credit's due. Shout out to Cody Warren from InsideTheStar.com for putting this trend under a microscope. The data he laid out is eye-opening, frustrating, and to be honest, a little bit terrifying. We're talking about a full 10 years of repeated draft behavior, driven by the same figures in the front office, Jerry Jones, Will McClay, and the rotating door of coaching staffs. So in this video, I'm breaking it all down for you. Why it's been happening, how it's affecting the team's ceiling, and why 2025 has to be the year the Cowboys finally shift course. But hey, before we dive in too deep, let me ask you this. If you're also tired of seeing the Cowboys go offensive line in the first round like it's on autopilot, drop a comment with a boom. Just hit the comment section with a simple to let me know you're with me. And if you're new here, or if you've been riding with us for a while, take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We're on a mission to reach 13,000 subscribers, and your support truly helps keep this community growing. Now buckle in, because what we're about to uncover might just change the way you look at the Cowboys draft board. Let's get into it. Now that we've set the stage, let's peel back the curtain and look at the numbers. Because when we talk about this Cowboys draft trend being diabolical, we're not just throwing around dramatic language for effect. The data backs it up. And once you see it for yourself, you'll probably say the same thing I did. Again? Over the past 10 NFL drafts, the Dallas Cowboys have followed a rigid, almost robotic formula in the early rounds. We're talking rounds 1 through 3, where impact players are made. And in those rounds, Dallas has selected 6 offensive linemen, 6 defensive linemen, 6 linebackers. You catching the pattern here? That's 18 picks, over a full decade, dedicated to trench and front 7 positions. And look, I get it. Building from the inside out is a respected philosophy. But 10 years of this, while ignoring so many other positions of need, it's become excessive. Take the offensive line alone. Since 2015, we've seen picks like Chaz Green, Connor Williams, Connor McGovern, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, and most recently, Tyler Guyton. Some hits, some misses, but all drafted with the hope of rebuilding a wall in front of Dak Prescott. And before him, Tony Romo. Yet here we are, still treating O-line as the first-round lifeline. And what about defensive line? Same deal. 6 picks in 10 years, all in early rounds. We're investing a ton of capital up front. But are we really getting elite, game-changing results? Even linebacker, a position that's shifted drastically with the modern NFL, has gotten just as much love in the draft room. That might surprise you, but it's true. And it shows just how deeply this front 7 first mentality is embedded into the Cowboys' DNA. Here's the kicker, though. The Cowboys have changed this offseason. They were one of the more active teams in free agency. Jerry's stayed unusually quiet in the media. Schottenheimer is putting his fingerprints on the offensive strategy. The vibe around the franchise feels refreshed. So why are we still clinging to the same draft strategy? Let me put it to you. Do you think the Cowboys are going too heavy on line of scrimmage picks in the early rounds? Vote now in the card on your screen. Yes, it's time to change. No, the trenches win games, and sound off in the comments. I want to know what you would prioritize on draft night. All right, coming up next, we're talking about the positions the Cowboys seem to have forgotten even exist. And trust me, this is where it really gets wild. All right, now we're getting into the heart of the problem, the real red flag in the Cowboys draft pattern. Over the last decade, while Dallas has been stacking linemen like it's Black Friday at Home Depot, there are two critical positions that have been almost completely neglected in the early rounds of the draft: wide receivers and running backs. Let's talk numbers. In the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft, again, where you find your difference makers, the Cowboys have only selected 3 wide receivers and 1 running back in the last 10 years. Let that sink in. 3 WRs, 1 RB. That's it. And the names? CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Jalen Tolbert at receiver, with Ezekiel Elliott as the lone early-round running back. Now listen, CeeDee was a home run, no doubt. But Gallup and Tolbert, mid-level production at best. And Zeke, he gave us some great years, but that pick happened nearly a decade ago, back in 2016. Since then, nothing but late-round flyers and bargain bin signings to fill the backfield. This isn't just a stat, it's a statement. The Cowboys, whether intentionally or not, have built an offense that's overly dependent on Dak Prescott to play hero ball. And when we reach the playoffs, when defenses are faster, smarter, and more physical, we see it. The offense stalls. The big plays vanish. The game plan gets exposed. Why? Because we don't have enough weapons. Enough guys who can change a game in one snap. And let's be real, you felt it too. The offense can move the ball, but it often looks like a grind. There's not enough electricity, not enough playmakers who strike fear in defensive coordinators. This trend is costing the Cowboys real opportunities, and if it continues in 2025, it could cost them another season. So I want to hear from you now. If you could draft 1 wide receiver or running back in the first round this year, who would it be? Drop the player's name and college down in the comments, and let's build our dream draft board together. And while you're at it, if this breakdown is opening your eyes to some things you hadn't noticed before, help us keep growing. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We're pushing hard for 13,000 Cowboys fans, and your support makes all the difference. Up next, we're turning the page to the 2025 NFL Draft and what needs to change right now. All right, partner. Now that we've exposed the problem, let's talk about the solution. Because here's the truth. 2025 is the perfect year for the Cowboys to flip the script. This draft class, it doesn't have that so-called generational offensive lineman that justifies yet another trench pick in the first round. There's no Tyron Smith, no Zach Martin. So why force it? Let's do something we haven't done in a long time. Draft a playmaker early. The Cowboys have already taken bold steps this offseason. They've been more aggressive in free agency. They've made trades. Jerry Jones has been shockingly quiet in the media, and honestly, that silence speaks volumes. It shows a shift, a more business-first approach. Brian Schottenheimer is clearly putting his fingerprints all over the offensive identity, so why not let that evolution extend into the draft? Look, protecting Dak is important. No one's saying ignore the offensive line altogether. But what if just this once, we took a shot at someone who can change a game, someone who forces defenses to stay honest, someone who makes life easier for Dak and the line? Because here's the thing. When you add a guy who can burn a defense deep or take a screen 60 yards to the house, you're not just helping your quarterback. You're helping your entire team. There are players in this class who can do that. Explosive receivers, dynamic running backs, versatile weapons who would instantly inject life into the offense. So let's try something different. Let's vote right now. Would you support a first-round pick that isn't an offensive lineman this year? Cast your vote on the screen. Yes, time for change. No, still need to protect Dak. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more draft content coming, and your support helps push this conversation further. Let's keep building this Cowboys community all the way to 13K. Up next, we wrap it all up with one final message. Let's talk about breaking the cycle. once and for all.